Okay, we have people joining in already. Hi, everyone. Welcome back again, those of you who have attended the previous talks. Those of you who are new, then welcome to this talk. So, wow, we'll wait for a few minutes to wait for more people joining in. In the meantime, do feel free to put in the chat section. Do let us know where you're from, which uni you're from, just let us know which uni you're from, and so that we understand a bit better. We know where you're from and so on. And throughout this whole presentation, do feel free as well to leave your questions below. Today we have two people from JobStreet with me, so they can help with answering some of your questions as well. Oh, nice. We have a few already. Say Hui from UM, Muhammad Iqmal from Taiping Perak. Wow, nice. Welcome everyone. Nice to see you all here. From UM Pahang. Wow, finish your degree at the end of this August. Nice. Good luck. So I guess all of these tips. If you have not had the chance to go through some of our previous talks, do check it out. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. And we have sessions like this ongoing every month. So it's either led by Chua or myself. And we focus on giving tips to fresh graduates like you all, so that you all will sort of get an advantage or an edge over your career applications in the future. So of course we hope to try and target some of the topics that the universities do not cover. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below or in the Q&A section, and we'll get to it as soon as possible. Okay, so without further ado, I think let's just start. Again, thank you everyone for joining today's session. With me today, we have two people. If some of you have joined the previous webinar, you might have seen Chua. So Chua here is our customer solutions I would say expert, right? So what he does here is really give a lot of trainings to our hirers, to our employers out there on how do you actually secure some of these valuable or some of these qualified candidates. So it's really good to have him here with us today, so that we can get a perspective of what are the hirers actually looking at in terms of hiring candidates or even fresh graduates. And then we have Angelica here with us today as well. She leads the candidate marketing team in JobStreet. And some of you do not know, I should have introduced myself first. I'm Kelvin, and I look after the campus marketing. So I work very closely with universities to help fresh graduates, to help students like yourself try and succeed in the world of trying to get a job. So, all right, let's start. So this week's topic is about last-minute interview tips to help you succeed. So let's face it, I think we are all last-minute people. If you're not, do let me know, because I am. So when you're in uni, or rather when I was in uni last time, I tend to do a lot of things last minute. So whether it's assignment, whether it's coursework, everything is last minute, and somehow we just all get the motivation to do better when it's the last minute, right? So you have some pressure to push you, and you actually get to do better.
Rush.
Yeah, exactly. So today's tips is here on last minute interview tips. So you have actually secured an interview, but you probably do not have time to prepare for it. So what do you do? What can you do, right? So here I'm gonna take you through some of the tips that we have, right? So okay, so here I have 3 tips for you in the 24 hours before your interview happens. So you still have time to prepare. It's not as critical yet. So you can still, calm down, take a deep breath, and then try and prepare what you can for the last remaining 24 hours that you have, right? So first tip here is, instead of going around and trying to find all the information about the company, you can just narrow down and focus on these following key informations about the company. So these are some of the points that we recommend. So what are the philosophy and values of the company? How's the work culture like? What is the leadership style like? What are the challenges and goals? And trending news. So the next question in your mind should be, oh, wow, these are actually great information to focus on, but, where do I go and look for, some of these information? So here we have some areas that you can actually look at. First up, company website. So a lot of companies that you're going to apply for out there, they already have a website. And you go to their website, a lot of times they will actually share their goals, their mission, vision, their goals, their upcoming projects, and you can actually see what are they up to, what are they getting into, and so on. So company website is a very, very good place to start your research. Second is social media interaction. So chances are, if they have a company website, they should have a social media a page, right? Unless they are a B2B, a business to business kind of company, then they might not have, but most of the time companies nowadays do have social media presence. So check out their social media, see how they interact with the audiences there. That gives you a bit of knowledge about how are they as a company, right? Third one here is company reviews. This is something that I want to show you a bit more as well. I'm going to switch screens quickly later just to show you how you can use JobStreet's tool to actually look at company reviews, right? I'll just quickly cover the last one, Google News. So of course, everything is on Google, right? Just Google it. When you want to look out for something, when you want to find out information about something, Google is your best friend. And of course, I think a lot of you in uni would already know, Google is definitely your best friend. So I'm going to take a moment here to quickly share with you this, hold on, yeah, this how you can use our website to actually search for company reviews. Okay, hold on, it's not here.
While Kelvin is doing that, I just want to share with you that, why is it important for hirer side? So coming from the hirer's perspective, when you actually find out a lot of information about their company, it shows that you care and you take effort in, getting to know more about them, right? Yeah, so that is important, showing that you take the effort, right? Hopefully the information is correct lah. Then it shows that you're more accurate with your interviews, right? Over to Kelvin.
Thanks, Ra. Yeah, that is actually correct. So, a lot of times it's not only just about about yourself, or rather, it's not about looking for information to help yourself only, right? So you need to be able to show the hirers that you're actually a concern, or you want to know more, or you're actually really motivated to or rather really interested in that company. So so on JobStreet website here, so I'm just going to take you to the home page. So when you type in jobstreet.com.my, this is the page that you come to. You can go in to search for jobs, right? Click on company profiles here, and you can just type in a company that you want to look for. So for example, say today, Lazada, you would really want to work for Lazada, let's say. So even typing out here, you will already have some suggestions here. So if you go to Lazada, you can actually see what are some of what are some of the reviews about the company. So this is one good way to understand or to find out, last minute find out what is going to happen or what is happening in this company. Are they good colleagues? How's the boss like? How's the time, working hours like, and so on. So a lot of information you can find out from here. So you can search for other companies as well. Just do quick searches, and you'll be able to find what are people talking about them, right? So let's just move back into our presentation here. So remember, if you have any questions, just leave them down below in the Q&A section or in the comment section, and we will get right to it when we have the opportunity. Okay. So second tip here is to make a list of questions to ask during the interview. So, you know, during the interview or maybe at the end of the interview, hirers or rather employers would definitely ask you, do you have any questions for us? Now, this is a very, very good opportunity for you to really question them or ask them to get more clarity, right? Maybe later Chua can also share some of your thoughts on that as well, because I think a lot of times we need to understand whether the hirers themselves are, you know, what are the hirers looking for in a candidate. So by asking some of these questions, you know, it shows a bit more proactive from your side to really want to get this job. So what are some of the questions that, you know, you can ask to make yourself, you know, sound a bit more intelligent? So first one, you ask growth strategy and long-term vision. Next one, department goals and challenges. So all these questions are geared towards, you know, understanding how is that company like, what are you getting yourself into, and whether or not it aligns with your goals, your challenges when looking for a job, when looking for a career, right? Next up, work culture. You definitely want to look for a good work culture that you can fit in. So according to a studies that we did based on laws of attraction, so laws of attraction is a study that we conducted tens of thousands of surveys to find out what attracts a candidate to a particular career or a job. And you might be pretty shocked. Of course, I mean, the first factor that draws people to that job is, of course, salary. But the second one is actually work-life balance. So a lot of people are looking into, you know, if the company has this kind of culture that enforces work-life balance or not. All right. Fourth one is expectations. So what sort of expectations are the hirers expecting, you know, based on this role that you're applying for? So this gives you a better chance of, you know, going in there and immediately understanding the role rather than a mismatch of expectations, and then you're not happy, the employer's not happy, everybody's not happy, right? So make sure you get this list down, and these are just sort of guidelines for you. You have any other questions, feel free to leave them down. Of course, you don't want to make a super long list and then at the end of the day you won't be able to ask it. So prioritize some of your more important questions and then ask it when you have the opportunity, right?
Yeah. So I just want to add on from there. Yeah. Just imagine that the interview is just like going on a date with your girlfriend or boyfriend, right? And you don't want the date to be silent, right? And just have the interviewer asking you just the questions. Of course, you also want to get to know the company as well. And it's also kind of your, I wouldn't say your right, but your interest to find out, would you want to belong to that company? So you got to ask some of the questions, intelligent questions that leads you along the way. Now, talking about asking questions, there's always two types of questions. Number one is open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions is something like, you know, a yes/no answer to it, right? Hi, will I get lunch break? Of course, yes. Will I get leave? Yes, there is. But you want to ask more open-ended questions over here, and that is where Kelvin gave 4 different and very good examples, like what is the growth and long-term vision of your department or your company. And these are things that interviewer cannot just say yes or no. They have to elaborate on that part as well. Now, that goes along both ways. That would mean that when the interviewer asks you also some of these questions, then you don't answer a yes/no answer or one-liner. Try to elaborate some of these answers as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tra has put it in a very good analogy. So think of it as dating, right? You don't want to go into a date and just, you know, have a boring conversation, a one-way conversation. So yeah, always think of it as that, and I think you will do fine, right? So next one, anticipate questions from employers. So as what Chua mentioned earlier, that it goes both ways, right? So and also there are open-ended and closed-ended questions. So these are some of the common questions where employers might or might not ask, but it's always good to anticipate this. So when you talk about these questions, so for example, tell me about yourself, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses? Now, it's not a time for you to, of course, the employers would sort of already know based on your CV, right? Who are you? What are you doing? What is your qualifications? So what do they really mean by that is actually an opportunity for you to showcase, your personality, how you are as a person. Tell them about your experiences. Of course, not you don't want to be telling the grandmother stories of your life, right? So tell them what you think that they might be interested in. So again, this is your chance to impress them, to pitch and to sell yourself, right? And when you're talking about weaknesses, so some of you might know, some of you might not know. It is not a time for you to sort of self-pity and say, oh, I'm actually bad at mathematics, and so on, right? That employers would really want to know how you tackle these weaknesses. So for example, you say, oh, my weaknesses are, one of my weaknesses is actually being too forgetful. I tend to forget some of these tasks, but how I overcome my weakness is I always have a notepad by my side, or I use certain apps to keep track of the tasks that I need to do daily. And that is something that that is how I overcome my weakness. So again, it shows your thought process. It shows how you are as a person. And there are studies today that shows employers are actually looking for personality more than qualifications. So these are times for you to showcase yourself. The last question here: why are you leaving your job? If you had a previous job, this might not be so relevant for fresh graduates, but next time in the future, when you had a job and you left the job and you're applying for a new job, this is a question that's going to come up. And very, very important, you do not want to badmouth your previous job, whether it's really a bad place to work in, your boss was horrible, you had to work late hours and you hated it. Do not share those impressions with them, because again, if you're sharing with them these kind of bad impressions of your previous job, when you leave this current job, chances are you're going to share it with the next employer. So that's not something that people are looking for. So always be careful of these kind of questions. Try to, and again, anticipate. Once you anticipate these questions, you jot it down, you list it down, you rehearse, you practice with your friends, and then you will be fine, right?
I
So
just want to add that
yeah,
that
sorry.
these four questions over here are very common and is usually asked by a lot of interviewers. I guess that what the gist of it over here is also talking about making preparations so that you actually give yourself some time to think of it before attending that interview. That way, then you can use each opportunity over here and then you can shine. So for example, when Kelvin mentioned that, tell me more about yourself, what it is trying to tell is, how confident are you sharing that your past history? But of course, don't go way back, go back like, a few years, like what is your achievement in school and stuff like that,
Yep.
right? But I also want to touch a little bit about what Kelvin shared about your weaknesses, right? Tell me more about your weaknesses. I think try to use that opportunity into a strength, right? And I always like to say that, hey, this is one of my tips usually in interviews, but I don't go for a lot of interviews. When interviews ask, right, what is your greatest weaknesses? I will always say that, hey, I tend to be overly early. I like to come prepared. And for any cases, I would actually be there on time, if not earlier, right? And in some instance, there was one time where the interviewer said, "Oh, is that right? And he walked out and to the receptionist and asked, right, to the receptionist, what time did Chua come here? Oh, he was here about 1.5 hours ago. Wow! And immediately that secured the job, right? Yeah. So that's very important for you to be early for their interviews. Don't be late because it shows what type of character you have as well. Yeah. Back to you, Kelvin.
Thanks for that, Chua. Thanks for sharing some of the info as well, some of the tips as well. So these are the top 3 tips, for the past, for 24 hours before your interview that you had. So now moving on, what if you have less time, right? You have only 12 hours before. So here are 5 tips, right? So the first tip here is very interesting. So back when I was in uni, my lecturer actually shared this phrase with me. It's called mise en place, right? It's pronounced mise en place. I don't know, some of you might know it, some of you might not. It's a French word, and it literally means to put things in place. Now, mise en place is actually used by a lot of, in the F&B sector, as chefs, for example. If you will want to, before you start cooking, before you start your operations, you have to prepare everything. You have to prepare your ingredients, put them in a nice, separate them out in nice plates, in nice containers. You have to prepare your pans, make sure it's all washed, prepare your prep area. So that's mise en place. So how you can take this analogy and put it into, your pre-interview moment is to set everything that you need in place the day before, 12 hours before, so that when you wake up the next day, you don't have to rush and panic, over trying to get everything ready, and you might forget about things, right? So make it a habit to prepare it the day before. I think this is also a good habit for candidates who, like not necessarily for interviews. For example, for class as well, the next day if you have a class, pre-prepare everything so that you don't rush the next day. So whether it's your outfit, you have already pre-selected what outfit that you want to wear, and what are some of the documents that you need to bring along. So these might be very, very minor things to sort of prepare, right? But at the end of the day, these are things that, if you get it off your mind, you can really focus on the interview. So you don't have to worry about all these things during the interview. Next one is, again, like I mentioned, once you have done all this anticipation, once you have done all this prep work, do quick revisions. So whether it's, reading them out loud or getting your friends help, find someone to rehearse with you. That also works as well. So always go through quick revisions, but again, don't over rehearse. But I guess most of you will be aware of this, because I guess this is what you do with your exams as well. If you're not, then please share it with me, because this was what I usually do with my exams. Quick revisions, I tell you, it always works out well. And it actually, helps you in times of stress like this. So yeah, but again, don't over rehearse, because if you're overdoing it, you will tend to forget most of it. So again, don't try to. Also, another tip is, don't try to sort of memorize them so well, so structured, and it seems like you are actually, reading out from a script like that. So just try to remember key points. That's it. Very simple.
My tip over here is try to relax for the first 12 hours, right? If you have done your preparations already, just try to relax. And before 12 hours before any exam during my degree, I usually chill. I won't go and read the last bits of the notes and kind of thing, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. You have 6 tips now. So 5 plus 1 tip from Chua. And I guess Chua is one of those students who, they say you don't study, but you get, still get good results. He's probably one of those students. Okay, so that brings me to my next tip. Before going to sleep, set multiple alarms. So this is something that has been overlooked by, I think, a lot of people. Sometimes you might never know. You might just oversleep, and that will cause you to panic and rush. When you rush, that's not going to be a good sign. You forget things and so on. So set multiple alarms just to be safe, and make sure you do wake up in time. If of course the interview is in the morning. If it's in the afternoon, then of course you're a bit more relaxed. That way you don't have to wake up that early. Get a good night's sleep. So again, like, bring it back to what Chua said, relax, right? Go to bed early. Make sure that you wake up feeling refreshed and feeling good. So last thing you want is to have a hangover and then go to the interview and forget things, right? So that is going to be a very, very bad impression as well. So yeah, the last tip here is to determine the best route. So always use technology. My previous presentation as well, I have also mentioned using technology to your advantage. So today, you have all these at your fingertips. I'm sure if Chua were to share, he's going to tell you back in those days, he's going to use a traditional map to plan out his route. You know, he got to find out how to get to the office, you know, a week before, just to, you know, just to not get lost, right? But today we
You're actually right, you know. I do go over there 1 week before to ensure traffic conditions and stuff. Hey, that's 20 years ago. There's no
exactly.
waves or anything.
Exactly, right? So today we have Waze, we have Google Maps, and even Waze, you can plan your route in advance. If you want to reach by this time, um, you can set it also to tell you what is the best time to leave. So use all this to your advantage. Determine all of this before you go to bed, so that, you know, again, it's all prepped up, and the next day you just wake up and you just go, right? So it's going to be really convenient for you that way. So I'm going to end it with some bonus tips here. So in contrary to what Chua said earlier, he said that he's really early and he's there 1.5 hours. So some employers might appreciate that, but I was told also that some of them are not appreciative of that. So it depends. But to be safe, right, be on time, right? You do not want to be too early, do not want to be too late. So a general rule of thumb is 15 minutes before you are there at the receptionist, let's say, right? Not to say, you know, 15 minutes before you're still looking for parking, you know, you're still, you know, on your way up and things like that. So you never know, some of these things might happen to you. Like, for example, there's no parking, or I don't know, if you're really so bad luck, right? On the way up, you know, the elevator stops and so on. You know, those are some of the things that you want to try and avoid. But yeah, so of course, it goes to say you're not supposed to be late, because that just shows your personality. You know, tardiness is actually not acceptable in a lot of places. I'm sure even in uni as well, right? So second bonus tip here is it pays to be vain, right? So so whether or not you are doing a physical interview or even an online interview, which nowadays is probably going to be more common, do always check your appearance, right? Before the interview. So check your clothes, check your t-shirt, check your hair. If you are, you know, in a virtual or a uh, uh, what do you call this? A virtual interview, right? You always want to check your background. You want to check, you know, make sure that you do not have any, you know, let's say a computer update is going to be happening soon. You don't want that to happen, right? So make sure everything is in place before you actually go in to the interview.
I just want to talk about if you are going for a physical interview. It's great that, you know, if you are walking over there or parking over there, try to bring an extra set of shirt or clothes, right? So that, you know, if you sweat a lot or stuff like that, you can have another change. The second thing also is what Kelvin mentioned. You check your appearance in the bathroom. Now, you talk about the bathroom. Go to the hirers or the company's bathroom. Chances are you will also meet the interviewer. Now, reason being is because when I interview my group or my team, and I usually go to the bathroom also, because I know it's going to be another 45 minutes or stuff. And chances are you may meet the interviewer there. So be polite and say, hey, hi. And chances are the interviewer will be like, oh, what are you doing and stuff, have small talk. The next thing you know, you will meet them in the room, the interview room. And there you go. You have a friend there also, right? Yeah.
Well, actually, that is a very valuable tip as well. So, I personally have not been so lucky to be meeting the interviewer at the toilet. But yeah, you never know. You never know. Things like that do happen. So it always pays to be, again, you know, prepared. Again, also to show your friendliness, right? Say hi and so on. So good first impression, again, down to first impression is very important. Okay, so that brings us to the end. So of course, just to quickly summarize it, of course, we do not encourage last minute preparations, right? We always want to be prepared prepared in advance, right? But sometimes it does happen to us where we probably do not have the time for it. regardless of whatever reasons. So here are some of the tips that you can use for you to actually succeed. So I'm going to open this time to Q&A questions. So again, feel free to leave them down below and we will get right to it.